Welcome back here to the
Wub Station.
Wub Station, the Heroes Wub Station, TeamLiquid.net Heroes Super Brawl.
Got it.
It's the longest title ever.
It is. I'm Kubi, and with me is Solid Jake. We're here to bring to you guys the winners, finals, the upper bracket finals. It is best of 3. We got word from the admin. So I guess there could have been some confusion in the wording on the rule set, but as far as I know, both teams are aware it is a best of 3. So we're going to be moving right into that. I see that Cloud9 Maelstrom is readied up in the draft. First map is going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yeah, and this is for all the marbles. Now let's talk a little bit about the history of these two teams. If you guys aren't super
there's
familiar,
some history.
We can step back a few weeks. Now the draft is going to begin, so we'll go in there. But we go back about a month. WCA Finals live event. Both teams in the ESL studios in Burbank, California. Tempestorm takes a convincing 3-0 win. Very close games. But Tempestorm did win 3-0.
First time Tempestorm had won a series against them, and before that it had been month and a half.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. Maelstrom had been doing a good job. It wasn't quite as dominant as a 3-0, but Maelstrom had been taking a large majority.
Usually going to game 5, but they were winning, right?
They were winning consistently. So you're right, Tempestorm. They actually got a new member. They ended up they dropped Glaurung. They picked up Zuna.
They switched Dread back to shot calling. They made a bunch of changes. Yep,
they did. It worked out very well. They only had Zuna on the team for about 2 weeks at that time.
Yep.
And, well, he wasn't even signed officially. He did just get signed. But so Tempestorm, they take a 3-0 there. They take a 3-0 victory in the ESL Major League Playoffs Season 2. They win there. They take a 2-0 victory in the Winners Finals of June Open, North America June Open, and a 2-1 victory in the Grand Finals. So thus far, Tempestorm has been doing a great job sort of battling back from that deficit that they had against Maelstrom, and now they have their own dominance. Maelstrom, though, I gotta say, this situation in particular is very, I guess, reminiscent of what Tempestorm had gone through. Now Maelstrom has their own roster switch. They've brought in Fan, great success in Heroes of the Dorm, has been a solid player on Cloud9 Vortex, who had that team in itself had a lot of success thus far. He got 3rd place in Season 2 playoffs for Major League. So swapping in Fan, this could be what Maelstrom needs to battle back against Tempestorm.
And they've looked pretty good thus far, but that's why we see Tempestorm banning out Illidan and taking a first pick on Zeratul, very targeted towards Fan.
I think so. There's no other way you can take that. And this could be a couple things. They're just saying, well, I guess they're one and the same. There's Tempestorm is saying, we know Fan's good on these heroes in particular, we'll take those away, but they're maybe also pointing at them and saying, are you good on other heroes as well?
Yeah.
And we'll see how it pans out. I've seen, actually, I was going to say Fan. I've seen Fan play Sylvanas quite a bit, but to my recollection, otherwise, what is in recent memory? I guess Arthas. I know, obviously, you can play a lot of other heroes, but
we've seen him play Arthas, and we've seen him play Jaina, and we've seen him play, I believe, Vala. Oh
yeah, he used to be big on the Vala.
Actually, yeah, that's a fun. It's fun to think about it. Before Heroes of the Dorm, Fan was known to be a ranged assassin
for Vortex. Yeah,
for Vortex, and then. Now, he kind of became famous for his Illidan in Dorm. Started seeing a lot of melee assassin play out of him after that on Vortex.
Yes.
But we see Tempestorm starting with a lot of damage. Oh my goodness.
Yes, they picked up the double mages, Jaina and Kel'Thas, on Tomb of the Spider Queen. There's some potential for some heavy ranged damage output, especially if you have Zeratul in the right spot, can wormhole in, use his ability. He's got that follow through, focused attack style build now, which is very burst oriented.
So what do you ban here? Malfury, and they know Tempo's been liking the Malf. They're going to ban him out. Tempo might respond with a big warrior. Maybe they want to remove a new Barak. No, Johanna. Okay.
Oh, that makes perfect sense considering the Asphodel.
You're right. Picked. Especially here on Tomb.
Yeah, and Maelstrom, they like to run this strategy a lot. They're obviously still going to be going for the stacking, and they'll probably need to pick something else up that pairs well. We saw them going Zeratul, so obviously that can't be their strategy. No Johanna. Tassadar is not bad.
Uther will be picked up here by Cloud9. I think they have to. If Tempo could go hyper aggro.
Hold on.
Kerrigan Uther.
Hold on. Brightwing. Triple promote.
Oh my goodness, you're right. And Dunk loves his Bright.
Yeah, I think that's got to be it. And, I'm also thinking, Tempestorm probably wants to take Brightwing at this point. So it's good to take that away.
So
triple promote.
Triple promote. That's very good.
Very good. That's terrifying. Are you kidding me? They can just about promote an entire wave. They have 5 promotes.
And a noob. Beetle boys.
Oh,
Full on
gross!
push build. Everything about Maelstrom's composition is about pushing right now.
Yeah.
But Tempestorm could go full on just in your face. They could get Kerrigan Uther. And this is a very all-in, just like we're just going to constantly chase you down, but they're not doing that. They're going to go for Muradin, a little bit more safe, Muradin, Rhaegar. Okay.
Yeah, Rhaegar kind of has to do that. Well, they could have gone Uther.
Yeah, they definitely could have.
Rhaegar is going to have a little more healing output in general,
Uh-huh.
and a bit less control over the fight. But you have Kel'Thas, Zeratul. But yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see how. I think that's kind of more of a preferential pick. They could have gone for either, and they decided to go with Rhaegar. That's just something that Dreadnought feels very comfortable on. I'd say he's the best Rhaegar player. NA.
Probably.
Yeah.
Is it going to be Zagara? Full on push? Do they commit to it?
You're kind of laughing under your breath. That's
I know.
a very strong
No,
possibility.
I'm laughing because it's disgusting.
Yeah,
I'm
Zagara.
laughing because of how awful that would be to fight against.
Yeah, and they'd have to disengage with the Maw, because they're pretty much right now I'd say they're conceding team fighting. I think that's a pretty fair way to look at this. Like they can team fight, but they could go for a full disengage style with Emerald Wind, with Maw. Just keep poking away, having map control with the promotes. What does Tempestorm have to deal with clearing out promotes?
It's just Jaina. This is kind of the last hurrah of promote. It's receiving a big change according to the PTR on Tuesday.
Yep.
And yeah, it's Jaina, Kel'Thas. Yeah, great. They have great clear with those 3 assassins.
Yeah, just go into Zebo. Let's get 4 promotes in there.
You know, they're probably discussing this right now.
No, there's no way that would be
Gazlord?
No, that would be crazy. But it'd be cool.
Volas is still a good pickup. Zagara we talked about.
Falstad,
I don't think
it's not terrible. Falstad's not. I mean, if you have a good burrow charge into fully powered Asma Dunk into Hidulance Blast, that could be scary to the backline.
Yeah.
As it is right now, there's not a lot of threat to the backline for Tempestorm. They have some very squishy heroes with Kel'Thas and Jaina, but not so much on Cloud9 Maelstrom's side to threaten that.
This is so interesting.
They're making full use of that time pool.
So this is going to come down to Tempestorm's Burst. Okay, it is going to be Falstad. Tempestorm's Burst versus a very push-heavy composition that does have a fair amount of damage, especially late game when Asmodee starts to get his farm on. This is going to be a very interesting game. These two titanic teams of NA facing off in the winners finals of the Team Liquid Super Brawl.
Super Brawl, indeed. Blood for Bloods? They have 2? I think that's it, right? They have TAS. They have TAS, false. Yeah, just 2 Blood for Bloods.
Yeah, I don't
just
think
something
that's
you always got to keep tabs on.
consider.
Sometimes those can sneak up on you in drafts if you're not like constantly thinking about it while you're drafting against your opponent. And we've had that a bunch of times where we get to level 16 in a game. We're like, oh, yeah, they have 4 Blood for Bloods.
Oh,
by the way, that's a thing.
He's ETC.
Yep.
What if ETC will get more popular with Blood for Blood nerf? He might rise a little bit higher in play.
I wish that was the case. I wish more people played ETC. I feel like he's not.
He's fallen off.
He has fallen off quite a bit. I'm always just more about diversity with the warrior picks. Right? It's limited right now. It's more or less Johanna, Muradin,
Anub.
yeah, Anub. Those are the 3 big ones. Sometimes Tyrael. 2Arc's making a case for it.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, sweeping through that lower bracket. 4 games in a row with Tyrael. Tyrael Uther. We'll keep an eye on those guys. Hopefully we get to see more of that today. It's pretty fun to cast.
All right,
Fun
guys.
to watch.
We're going to Tomb of the Spider Queen. Expect a very aggressive game out of both teams. Tempestorm has arguably the 3 top assassins in the game.
I'd argue that Maelstrom will do the exact opposite.
Well, with their composition, yes.
Speaking of Cloud9 Maelstrom, let's take a look at their roster on the left side of the map. iDream is going to be on Falstad, Dunk Train, of course, on the Brightwing. K1 Pro on Asmodan, King Caffeine on Anubarak, and Fan will actually be playing Tassadar.
And on the opposing team, we have Tempo Storm with Dreadnought playing as, of course, Rhaegar. Zuna is on Zeratul. Arthalon playing as the Kel'Thas soldier, playing Muradin. And last but not least, it's KO riding side saddle as Jaina.
Riding side saddle. And it is going to be Zuna on the Zeratul. So we do see the Regen Master as the pickup for the first one. You can argue both are good. It's either Regen Master or... Wow, that's aggressive. Immediately out of the gate, and they want to blow Fan out. Okay, he gets the Dimensional Warp off. Just in time.
Again, aggression versus passivity.
Yes.
The passivity really kicks in at level 4. We even see Fan trying to Hearth back, and Arthlon knows that's going to be the case, just throwing a Flame Strike out to stall him out a little bit longer. It's not going to make a big deal of difference, but it still buys them a little bit more time to collect gems.
And what this comes down to is how well can Tempostorm deal with the promotes? They're going to be thrown around all over the map. How well can Tempostorm deny the stacking from Asmodee? If they can put that sort of down, just say, you know, we're going to slow that down as much as possible so that we're on fairly even footing hitting level 16 when our Kael'thas gets quite a bit stronger. That's how Tempostorm wants to try to win this game. Also through very, very aggressive team fighting.
Yeah, they're going to be rotating around. iDream just showing how he's not scared at all. He does have Updraft at level 1, just the additional range on Barrel Roll, so it's a bit more of a safety net. He knows he's going to need that. It's actually a very Maelstrom favored talent. There it goes, getting him back to safety.
Arthlon and Soldier looking to get aggressive on Fan in the top lane. I'm surprised they're actually targeting Fan in particular, just because of how easy it is for him to escape.
Counter rotation.
And this might actually be... Yeah, I think King Caffeine will be able to get the body blocks in there to take Arthlon down. So
yeah,
Tempostorm needs to reconsider, I think, who they're trying to pick off, especially in this early game, right? Because you give this types of an advantage, especially once level 4 rolls around. If you make these types of mistakes and they have the promotes to push down, like you're going to lose towers very easily, you're going to lose forts very quickly. So they'll have to be careful. I think, honestly, the better targets, right wing, Falstad, if you can get the lockdown on them. But it's very, very easy for Tassadar to escape.
Just look at the structural damage done. They've got the first takedown. They don't even have promote yet, and they've already dealt all this damage. I mean, that just kind of is a testament to what it's going to look like this game. Tempostorm, do they have the opportunity to grab a mule? They actually don't. So what they have is just strictly aggression. And again, they're going for Tassadar constantly, and he's so hard to eliminate.
Yeah, I think that they need to pick someone else. There's not really great targets. Like K1 Pro has a huge health pool. Dunk Train has the Pixie Dust, and you know, maybe I was going to say Protective Shield. No, that's not going to be the case very much, though. The promote style, Falstad with the barrel roll. So there's a fairly safe team for Cloud9 Maelstrom. It will make things difficult for Tempostorm.
Yeah. Globe just going to keep on the farming. Nicely done by K1 Pro, timing it out rather well. Probably already around 50 bonus.
I will check for you.
Kubi's got that power.
Yeah, I do have that power. 36.
36. Okay, yeah, pretty decent start here. About 3 minutes into the game, having 36, not too
Soldier.
shabby.
Oh, very close. Does get the Dwarf Toss behind the wall. Look, the Beetles constantly spawning. It's just a lot of just straight push.
Yeah, there really is. Globe constantly coming out here, doing what it can to just get more powerful. Dread in the bottom lane, collecting the gems, but iDream will bully him back behind his wall with that W.
So before we get too far into this game, Jake, who do you think won the draft?
I mean, it's going to be so hard to tell because Tempostorm does have a lot of aggression, a lot of damage. Blow potential is there at 10. So I think at 10, that's when Tempostorm's composition is really going to kind of unfold. It just depends on how much damage Maelstrom is able to do in the early game, right? Once these promotes really start to bully down these lanes, it's going to be reliant on Maelstrom getting a lead early on, I think, in terms of structural damage.
Very much so the case. However, you could argue that the map objective is not quite as rewarding in that sense. I mean, the map can snowball quite a bit. If you take those early structures down, I don't know. We'll see. The promotes are going to be good. I still would probably give the edge to Maelstrom. Yeah, great body blocks. I think I'd give the edge to Maelstrom just because they got so many promotes in their composition. Obviously, after the patch, if those changes go through, this will not even be a thing anymore.
Right, but yeah, I got to hand it to Maelstrom right now, though. They're looking quite clean. It's pretty much dead, even in terms of gems slightly in favor of Maelstrom because they have a little bit more turned in and just about the same in their pockets. But the damage is being done. We talked about structural damage, but Anub'arak is destroyed, eliminated in the top portion of the map. And if Tempo can keep getting picks while they trade up fort damage, I think it's favorable for Maelstrom in the end.
Yep, they're taking out towers, bottom lane. They're taking mercenary camps. They have the giants in the bottom lane. And just the rotation between the promotes, they might not always want to throw down like an entire promoted wave, but having constant promotes on all three of the warrior minions in front, that's a huge amount of HP that needs to be soaked up from tower shots.
Oh, it's just insane. I mean, we can just see these. The General of Hell, the shielding even on these giants. They have so many different elements that makes their push so very beefy. And it's causing such a big reaction of Tempostorm giving a lot of control on the map for Maelstrom, allowing them to turn in the first summon for the Web Weavers.
checking builds, I actually don't see a whole lot that is particularly scary. We don't actually have the reverberation from Muradin, which could have been picked up to sort of deal with the Archon. Not going to be the case. Do you see that full Stormbolt build? Everything else, Feral Heart, you were talking about maybe Farsight being grabbed. Not the case either.
Yeah, Farsight we do commonly see on this map because vision is such a key element. But yeah, the Web Weavers have made their way to the middle of the map. Tempo Storm working with Arthon and Dread in the bottom, up in the middle lane. We see Zuna getting very aggressive, actually quite low. That almost dashed into the wave.
I think he already got hit by it. That's probably why it didn't do additional damage.
That was interesting. They do manage to take care of that guy. We see the top lane completely exposed. Soldier doing his best to stall it out, force it back. But it's just KO here alone in the mid, and it's going to need some reinforcements.
Only thing that I can be critical of for Maelstrom at this point in time is the stacking. They're only at 90, especially on Tomb of the Spider Queen. If you have like a Johanna to help the stacking, like you could get way, way higher at this point, probably something up closer to 150. Otherwise, they've been pushing very hard. They already have gotten that one set of Web Weavers in. They've taken all the towers out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Every single one.
They're starting to push on all the forts. Bottom fort especially. They have the promotes down there. They're looking to try to get that early advantage.
All right, so they get the takedown and false start. The globe will connect onto Zuna. He's going to have to blink out of here. I don't think the burrow charge just going to miss. Impale goes out, not enough.
Of course, it doesn't have the range, so that might have been close to grabbing him. Either way, I don't know if the follow-up would have been there. Level 10 just struck for Cloud9 Maelstrom. What do they have? I think everything that we would expect to see thus far. Blackpool, Blink Heal, Hinterland's Blast, Locust Swarm, Tassadar very likely going for.
And bottom lane was completely pushed out by Fan with those promotes. The General of Hell, again, you can use that globally. You can have so much pressure across the map. So that first fort did give them level 10 you just mentioned. Now we have 10 for Tempo Storm.
Void Prison, Avatar, Ancestral Healing, the Phoenix, and the Water Elemental. Again, I think those are all the sort of locked-in compositions that we, or at least heroics that we see for those heroes. Zuna getting stunned out. The Globe, good blinked, just preemptively to make sure he gets out. Doesn't want to soak that much extra damage up. And these teams are duking it out. Yeah,
they really are. Nice Stormbolt connecting with 2 targets right now. The Web Weavers are pushing in all 3 lanes, so that's something Maelstrom has to be worried about. They have to just think, all right, how much damage are we taking structurally? Tempo will catch up and even take a lead on us if they lose too many fortifications right now.
With level 10 just being hit for Maelstrom as well, if they're able to hold off the team fights long enough, they'll get a lot of use out of Azmodan, especially with the Black Pool now scales his damage up quite a bit on those Globe of Annihilations.
Right wing split soaking across the map, giving them a bit of an edge right now. Will need the phase shift once this battle starts to heat up. We see a lot of damage done from that globe. Tempo opting to back on out.
So you mentioned that Tempo Storm, they need to start making things happen at level 10. They need to make sure that they catch up, or at least have something they can put some pressure on Cloud9 Maelstrom with because of the structural deficit that they will very likely be at. How do you feel that same assessment? Oh, well, man, actually gets chain stunned out.
That's the kind of plays they need to make. Yep. Exactly that. So they didn't manage to push that fort completely, but they picked up a takedown. They're turning in some gems. We do see that Anub'arak will do his best to contest this, but Zuna just bullying him back. Top lane does have Brightwing and Asmo. 16 gems here, 1 for K1. K1 continuing to soak. That's the other big deal, though. If they just let Asmodan walk around and get these stacks, he's going to get scarier and scarier.
Yeah, sitting at 172 bonus right now.
That's
so that's shot up quite a bit over the past 3 minutes. We talked about iDream. Yeah, had Muradin, had Kael'thas been there. That seems to be the combination they're looking for is the Gravity Lapse plus Stormbolt. More than enough stun time for the rest of the team to follow up.
But Tempo got the next turn in, and that's kind of a big deal.
Well, they're aware that these bruisers are being taken, and they're going in. I don't know, but this seems like they got sandwiched pretty heavily. Soldier should still have the Dwarf Toss to get out. That's the second time we've seen them run up to those bruisers and then immediately regret their decision.
Yeah, a whole lot of nope. They just kind of stepped in and realized they were kind of being flanked. Backed on out. The bruisers were picked up that will really help them defend this middle lane nicely. That Web Weaver just about to fall. Top one falling to Tassadar alone, shielding, promoting the minions, and just throwing down Psystorm. Very nice defense from that single hero.
Tempo Storm should be able to pick up their first fort in the bottom side lane. This will help to even out the experience. Both teams really racing to get to that 13. What are we going to see that's going to help out either team? Probably an ice block for Brightwing that's going to make it quite a bit more difficult to take her out.
KO's a bit alone right now, separated from the rest of the team. This is quite scary. They realize this, and they're actually secluding Arth and KO. Ancestral will connect on Arthalon, but KO is in a tight spot. The ice block comes out, and iDream will end up falling, turning this around. The chain heal seems to be enough, and Anub'arak getting stunned and blown up. Tempo Storm with the beautiful plays.
Okay, this is the aggressive team fighting that we're looking for. Soldier just about out of mana. Zuna as well. It's going to be difficult for them to get this clean up. And actually, no, the Juke was not on point. They were ready for it. They turned back around. picking up 3 takedowns. 7 takedowns to 2 thus far. That gives Templestorm a bit of an experience lead. Still, though, they are behind in structures.
Yeah.
Yes,
Dread
just by
rotated
the
as soon as he
points.
realized his mages were in, you know, a bit of a bad situation. Big Ancestral, the chain heal just enough, like just absolutely marvelous play. Almost baited out, it seemed.
They were putting a lot of pressure on K1 Pro in the backline, too. I think that's why things were split as they were. They almost were able to pick him off. We saw that Soldier, and I think it was Zuna that was putting pressure on K1 Pro in the backline. So it's sort of both teams are putting a lot of aggression on the damage dealers. And it just kind of seemed like, yeah, the rotation was in time, like you mentioned, for Dreadnought, so well done.
All right, well, right now, Templestorm is back on out. They just refilled their mana bars, those health bars. They're ready for action. They've taken a level lead, even talent footing right now for both sides. We can see Falset opting for the static shield, a bit more sustainability. Interesting to see that picked up, but we do have Dread going for Healing Surge. It's just going to give that healing potential so much more to Rhaegar.
Asmodan sitting at 230 bonus damage, just about halfway there. So it has been a slow stacking game thus far. Both teams are really looking for that late game, especially Kael'thas and Asmodan.
Could be. It's the 3rd summon of Web Weavers in a row for Templestorm, and there are just about no gems sitting there for Cloud9. I'm not too sure exactly what they need to turn in, but this is rough. Dealing with, you know, summon after summon after summon, they're going to lose another 4, and Tempo is getting close to 16 now. Yeah,
honestly, once it was like past like a level 11, they just started getting really aggressive with the team fighting, and we knew that was Templestorm's plan, and I guess Maelstrom just hasn't done enough to be able to hold them off.
No, they really haven't.
I thought maybe Emerald Wind might play a part in that. Apparently not. Just not going for that. Just I thought it would just be the name of the game is just completely do not fight. And just rotate around the map, get as many promotes and pushes going forward as possible.
Oh, man. The Healing Surge for Dreadnought is actually dealing with the globes so nicely. We can see K1 has just been throwing them, lobbing those basketballs across the map, and they find Dunk Train a bit out of position. Blink Heal will get him out of harm's way.
Oh, the globe actually hitting 3 members of Templestorm. You can see Arthon's kind of getting to the point where he loses like a third of his HP every time he takes one of those. Eventually, Dreadnought will not be able to keep up. Probably not until level 20 when he hits that rewind.
Yeah, you're going to have to really spec into that. So a nice defense on the Web Weavers, but the lanes are all relatively pushed out. The back walls of Cloud9. Only the top lane has received pressure at this point in time, and they're trying to turn those gems. Only 15 are needed. Zuna, disrupting them, buying time for the rest of the team to get here.
Still need another 15 gems to turn, and they do have it, but spread out across many members. Caught Maelstrom, another globe's being thrown out. Again, just putting a lot of pressure on, just trying to get those stacks. Templestorm just will not let them. They just keep throwing themselves at Maelstrom, trying to say, just hold us off, see if you can do it.
Right, and we're talking 16 here for Tempo. They do have that. That means Ignite was picked up for a Kael'thas, and now all these long, drawn-out fights, it's kind of like K1 Pro throwing these dunks into these big flame strikes. If they hit 2 or 3 members, the damage is devastating.
Northern Exposure grabbed for Jaina. Probably the opposite of the scenario that I would say that it needs to be grabbed. Not to say that it's a bad pick here, but they aren't behind. They find themselves quite a bit ahead, but they want that extra damage output. And they've been doing an excellent job thus far blowing up targets that they need to take down, and this will absolutely facilitate that.
Oh, Zuna almost caught out there. Gonna just stop his channeling of that Hearthstone, making his way back on out. We do see the turn-in is attempted once more. 15 gems still needed to be turned in for Cloud9, but these Ignites are going in with that Flame Strike.
300 bonus damage for K1 Pro on the Asmodan, about a little over 14 minutes into the game. Starting to catch back up, and again, name of the game is just going to be passivity for Maelstrom. They want to try to avoid team fighting, but they need to also turn in to make that effective. If they can get a set of turn-ins that buys them time, they want that so that they can allow Asmodan more time to get those stacks. But, you know, Templestorm, they're going to be sort of lurking around these turn-in points all the time, trying to pick fights.
Yeah, it seems what's happening, and again, they're turning in the top lane, trying to make it happen. King Caffeine's got the 7 going on it. It's going to put them just about, still need 8 more, but Tempo is not allowing them to turn in. Ignite's coming out with that Flame Strike, and they're really just preventing it and collecting as many gems as they can, and looking at all these gems that are being lost for Cloud9.
Yep. One interesting thing, I want to kind of highlight what Rhaegar's been doing this whole time, and you mentioned it a little bit before with the Healing Surge, but we see the mana reduction at level 1, Spirit Walker's Grace, makes the Healing Surge a little bit cheaper. Hold on a second. Soldier getting set out. He will be able to leap out.
Yeah, he's going to be all right.
Yep.
Nice poly out to Dread, trying to, like, prevent the healing from coming out, but not going to happen. Again, just soaking up those minions. But the turn-in was achieved by bullying them back like that.
Go.
So nicely done.
All right, that's what Cloud9 Maelstrom needs to buy themselves some room, buy themselves a bit more time for Asmodee to continue stacking. All right, so back to my point.
Rhaegar,
Back to my point about Rhaegar. He has the Spirit Walker's Grace that has the mana needed to cast Chain Heal, right? He has Feral Heart, which is passive. While he's in the wolf form, he gets more mana and HP back. Then he has Chain Heal. On top of this, he is a healing machine, and he can spam the heals very often. The whole point of Asmodee is to poke the enemy team down.
And whittle them away.
Yes, you whittle them down. You try to burn out the mana of the support on the enemy side, but that's not happening. Dreadnought is constantly in wolf form if he's not healing, and he's got those extra talents picked up that increase the healing amount and reduce the amount of mana taken. So he is constantly sustaining just as well as Asmodee is able to sort of poke away. Now, closer Asmodee gets to 500 stacks, the less that will be a thing, but the fact that they've been able to stall it out that long has been a big deal.
Yeah, and these Web Weavers have been dealt with rather quickly here in the bottom lane. A lot of pressure here. Dread and Zuna still need to make their way down on Rhaegar and Zeratul. They're doing their best to do that, but a big Stormbolt connecting with Asmodee. We do see the Flame Strike going to be ready in just a moment for Arthalon. Going to use Verdant Spheres to empower that. There it goes.
Zuna with the flank. Is he going to get the BP? That's 2 targets down. King Caffeine picked off very quickly. Dunk Train not even really sure where to go. He wants to keep Fan alive. I Dream and KO Pro eliminated almost immediately. Zuna is able to blink in to take it out. A nice ice block from KO, and Dunk Train will also fall. The only remaining member, Fan, on the upper right side. That is of no concern to Temple Storm. They are marching in.
Yeah, just making their way across the map. A very convincing team fight, and that flank from Zuna was exactly what they needed to lock them down, trap them in the Tempo Storm way, bypass the towers, go straight for the keep. They won't be able to end the game here, but this will give them catapults. You think so? Oh my god, they might. Look at that damage output.
They're going in. They're going in. That's another 10 seconds before any of the other members of Maelstrom are back up. Tempo Storm looking to end this in a very quick game number 1 on Tomb of the Spider Queen. About 17.5 minutes in, they have enough damage output. They're going for it.
They are the Titans of NA for a reason, taking game 1. GG to Tempo Storm. Flip that switch. Take that game.
Yeah, takedowns 11-2 at that point. And we knew that this would be a game. Oh, can I check the stacks at the last second? No, I wanted to see how far he got up to. He was probably sitting around 400 at that point in time. He was well over 300 last I checked. So, yeah, they wanted to wait longer. Temple Storm knew the earlier they could end the game, the better it would be for them. And that's the type of play they make. I got to give a lot of credit to Zuna. That VP was very on point. They were able to isolate the exact right targets.
Yeah, positioning in general was perfect.
The flank was good.
The response to the Asmodee, Rhaegar, like we were talking about that, really just rock solid. It was a great draft for Maelstrom, but Tempo, they just cautiously handled the waves. The promote was a big deal, but they just rotated as a team and just cleaned it up, collected the gems, cleaned it up, collected the gems, cleaned it up, and they dealt with it. They lost their forts pretty early, but when it came to their keeps, those minions could never make it past that line. They just made sure to keep rotating around. Very, very convincing play.
Yeah, I'd say Maelstrom won the early game. They did.
Yeah, oh yeah,
they had a much better structural advantage. They were able to push out the turn-ins that they did get early were effective. Put a lot of pressure on Temple Storm, but like you mentioned, as soon as they hit level 10, they had those heroics. They got aggressive, and all of the team fights were very, very strong for Temple Storm, and that's what really carried them to victory. And as you see, the very decisive team fight at the end, they knew they had the advantage. We were like, oh, they go for the core. Yeah, they're going for the core. So they just marched right past that.
Tempo loves to do that.
They do. They know when they have the advantage, and they push it. So, all right, guys, we're going to get game number 2 set up in this upper bracket finals between Cloud9 Maelstrom and Tempo Storm. We'll be back in just a few.
Sad to say, I wish could experience here, now.
Alrighty, nerds, welcome back here to the Team Liquid Super Brawl with Solid Jake and Kubi.
Got him. Almost got you. That was close. We're going into game number 2 in the upper bracket finals between Tempestorm and Maelstrom. Tempestorm finding themselves up 1-0 after battling the triple promote style. Still making it work. Even on 2 of the Spider Queen. Oh, were you trying to zoom in?
I zoomed out.
Oh, scares me, man, when you do that.
I know. Look at that. You can see
Who gave you that remote? Seriously. All right. What do we have? Sky Temple.
Sky Temple. Now, we're still waiting on a draft Linkaroni.
Yes.
But let us look at the bracket, see if there's anything excitable. And nerds,
Excitable.
just remember, if you do follow the channel, you have a chance to win a Heroes of the Storm skin bundle. So make sure you do that. Otherwise, you are not eligible. Anyways, let's look at this.
Anyways.
Let's look.
Ah!
They can't see that, Kubi.
Ah!
They don't know what's happening.
Stop! Don't highlight the whole thing. It's all blue. Ah!
How do I highlight? Oh my goodness. Oh, it's been
okay.
saved. All right. Well, right now we are currently watching the winners finals between Tempestorm and Cloud9 Maelstrom. The lower bracket had Complexity waiting for the winner of the Kappa Wolves versus Zevron. So we're still waiting on that update.
Yeah, that match is still happening
Game
right
3,
now.
I believe, is underway. And we have the plays in 2-arc. I think that is currently going on. So chances are we'll go from this to a ongoing set between Complexity and whomever wins between Kappa and Zev. I assume that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But Cloud9 Maelstrom still has the potential to bounce back here in Game 2.
Yes. Well said, sir. We have a draft link. That's a good start.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to get that rolling. Okay.
All right. Let them know teams we are good to go.
We are ready to rock and roll.
So what do you do if you're Maelstrom at this point in time?
Dance. And no, you don't dance. Let's see. What else can I say?
You can only dance after you win. Oh, how do I cast? Oh.
All right, good. We got this. Here's what they do. They need to bring the pain. They tried a push strategy, a standoffish non-team fight strategy, and it just didn't work at all. They had just about the best possible scenario with triple promote.
Right.
5 minions can be promoted at once. With Beetles, you really don't get a better push strategy, period. Sky Temple, not the place to try to do that again. The siege potential is too high from those temples. Need to bring the pain, need to draft for teamfight.
Do you think Azmodan Johanna is still a bad idea?
Yes. I don't like it. It didn't work for them. Don't do it again. I didn't like it. I wasn't convinced by it. It didn't pay off. Don't do it again. I could see Tempo doing it.
All right. It's
But
not
it
the
didn't
best,
work for them.
Not the best of maps for
Mix it up.
Azmodan.
You need to mix it up. After losing, when you, in theory, have a draft that's that strong at pushing, and you didn't get a keep, you need to go back to the drawing board.
So you want to see them draft something that is more aggressive team fight oriented or aggressive early game? Both?
Yeah.
There's a big
more
difference.
of a level 10. I think I like
Level 10.
level 10 drafts.
Something like Tyrael?
Mid-game, yeah, Tyrael drafts. You know, Tyrael False Knight, I'd be fine with that, but the draft is now beginning.
All right, we'll see if what their general game plan is going to be. We do have the first pick, first ban for Cloud9 Maelstrom. What do you take away? What's the first thing that you just remove?
The
Vikings are viable on this map. I don't think it's enough to warrant a ban. Sylvanas, something that Tempestorm likes to grab if they can.
All right, well, yeah, I mean, I think Sylvanas will be banned out by Tempo. I don't think Cloud9 will ban her. Because Cloud9 would probably want to have Sylvanas first pick. They really like having that hero.
Well, both teams do, I think.
Yeah. So Sylvanas shouldn't make it through the draft, neither should Jaina.
There's no heroes that really jump out at me that are so strong on this map that really require a ban. At least not from either team. Usually at this point on Sky Temple, you're looking at something that's team-specific or player-specific. And in this case, I don't think anything jumps out at me. I think Tempestorm will probably look to grab Zagara for their bottom lane. Cloud9 Maelstrom will probably take something like Falstad if they can. First ban is going to be Abathur. I'm okay with that. We haven't seen Tempo Storm play too much Abathur. They did try to run it in the grand finals of the North America June Open. It actually didn't work in the first game that they played it.
True.
So,
But there's the Zero tool. They're still going to rock with him. He's a very powerful hero.
No.
I mean, Fan is known for liking his melee assassins, and I think that's a smart pickup. But Tempo, they now have free reign on Sylvanas and Jaina, and to see those two get through, it's not out of the question, right? Teams have so many more diverse strategies than a few weeks ago, like the start of this patch. That would be a guaranteed 3 weeks ago. But right now, it's still quite good.
Sylvanas and Tassadar.
All right, that's fine. It's very interesting to see just the shifts in the meta right now of melee assassins so highly prioritized in the draft.
Yep. Banned out very frequently. First picked very frequently, especially with the use of Abathur. Maelstrom just wanted to sort of take that option away. Of course, these teams actually don't scrim each other all that often, to my knowledge. It's just sort of like, you know, there's been so many high-profile tournaments that have been happening lately, the June Open, WCA, all of these things. So these teams have really just not been. Anytime they're playing each other, it's in tournaments. So there's not really a whole lot of, other than what can very easily be studied from VODs, not really a whole lot to draw from. So what you guys see and have seen, that is the meta developing between these two teams.
It certainly is.
They do grab the Johanna, but not paired up with.
This could be
an
Asmo again.
It could still be, or they
Asmo.
could at the very least be trying to force an Asmodee ban
Yeah,
out of Tempo Storm.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I think that's what they want, honestly. Kel'Thas is not going to make it to Maelstrom.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, you know, having the Jaina KT plus Johanna,
But they're not
that's
gonna
a
get
good
it, no.
combo. Maelstrom probably will look to. That's kind of weird at this point. There's not really a whole lot that Tempo has shown in terms of their strategy. What do you take away? I don't know. Like, I'm looking at Tempo's composition. I don't really know what you should take away.
I feel like they're going to take away Brightwing because if they,
maybe that's the best.
yeah, I think
Just take the two promotes
Cloud9
away.
will cancel Brightwing out because I think Kel'Thas and Brightwing would be picked up if they weren't. But considering Brightwing is banned, we know Tempo loves their Rhaegar. They still have Malfear. They've actually been playing a ton of Malf lately.
Yeah.
Especially on this map, I actually love Malfurion. I would like Malfurion and Kel'Thas.
I think KT is probably guaranteed. If
Yeah.
you don't take KT, Maelstrom will.
Yeah, pretty much.
And if you also don't take Uther, Maelstrom will. Maelstrom will take probably KT Uther if they're given the opportunity. Tempo Storm denies at the very least KT.
Oh, they are going to go with Rhaegar.
Rhaegar
Okay.
goes up.
Dread does love his Rhaegar because he's a smart person.
Sure, Jake.
Hey, man.
Falstad and Uther? Could be Falstad Malf. Depends on how the team is feeling at this point. I think Uther's probably the better choice. Not expecting any kind of crazy compositions out of the remainder of what Cloud9 Maelstrom has. The same for Tempo. Both of these drafts will be fairly standard, I think. 3 damage dealers,
Yeah.
1 support, 1 warrior.
But who are they going to pick up for their damage? Now, they could still get Vala. But for support, I really do expect to see Malf in this game. Looking at the options, he just makes the most sense by a long shot. But so do Vala's crossbow shots.
Why?
I love doing this.
Why? Oh my
Vikings
goodness.
could be grabbed. I don't like them here, though.
They're not
They're not bad,
awful.
but I just don't. I don't like it as much.
I'm actually okay with it now that you bring it up.
Great.
You're saying you don't like it, but it's an option. I think it's going to be probably
There's Malfi.
Falstad. I feel like it's Falstad.
Yeah. Okay. Final pick for Tempo.
Muradin.
Meridew? Yeah, it's got to be.
I can't see any reason why they would take Nubarak.
Over Muradin? Yeah, I'd have to agree. It's not a bad pick. It's just knowing Tempo, it should be Muradin.
Yeah, they really like their Muradin. There's no like big auto attackers they need to shut down on Maelstrom's side.
Right, but
It's
they
just
still like their
preference
Muradin.
thing. They do like that warrior.
All right, guys.
More
Well,
often
we are
than
going
not-
to give the teams the go-ahead.
Yeah. More often than not, given the choice in a fairly neutral situation, they will take Muradin.
Yeah, cool. All right, guys. Well, this is, of course, the second game of the winners finals here in the Team Liquid Super Brawl. Seeding, it will be earned. All of these teams have already earned themselves seeding points no matter what, if you've made it this far in the event, towards the July North American Open, which is part of the Road to BlizzCon here.
Winner of this series gets themselves at least 40 seeding points and 750.
That's pretty good.
I think. I'm going to double check that right now.
Could be
Pretty sure
so
that's
fair.
the case. 750. Oh, 55 seeding points.
55 seeding points, which is quite a bit.
Yeah.
First
So it is
place-
guaranteed top 2 after this.
Yeah, yeah. And you're walking home with at least 750 for your team.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. And of
too
course, the July North American Open is a $25,000 prize pool where the top 2 teams advance to the regional event where there will be $100,000 live in person, with 8 teams flying in from across the globe. Really, it's Latin America, Australia, New Zealand,
Yes,
Southeast
yes.
Asia, and then 5 teams from North America. So really, getting good seeding from this weekend into that tournament is imperative.
And yeah, it gets them a good spot there. And then, of course, after that, it is the World Championships at BlizzCon 2015.
Please.
$200,000 to the winning team. Are you kidding me?
$500,000 for the event
whole event,
itself,
yeah.
but $200,000 just for first place. If you win that team, you're walking. I can't do math, but that's a lot of money. That's like my salary, more than my salary in a weekend.
It's like 40,000. 40,000.
Great. All right, let's go into game number 2. We have Tempo Storm on the left side. Yes, I know you're going to yell at me for overlay, so I will fix it.
All right, Jake, I got you covered. Left side of the map, it is Tempo Storm. We are going to have Arthlon on Kael'thas, Dreadnought on Rhaegar. Soldier will be playing Murden, KO on Tassadar, and Zuna will be rounding out the composition on Sylvanas.
And on the right side of the map, it is Cloud9 Maelstrom currently down 0-1 with K1 Pro on Jaina. Dunktrain playing as Malfurion, Fan on Zeratul, King Caffeine riding a card as Johanna. And last but not least, iDream flying across the map is a beautiful butterfly bird.
Not just any card. That's the legend card back. Saying he's
Become
legendary.
legendary.
Oh, God. I knew it. As soon as I said it, I was like, oh, this is a mistake.
Mistakes were made. All right, well, we do see that the level 1 talents have been collected. It's going to actually be the Psi Infusion. Mana retention there for the Tassadar player, often going for that Stormbolt build. Perfect Storm, level 1, and Dreadnought sticking to the guns of Spirit Walker's Grace.
Bit of a lack of mobility in the bottom lane. iDream will, of course, be able to fly up when we see those temples spawning at about 1:30 in. So something to keep in mind. I don't know if Zuna has intentions to stay down in this bottom lane, but let's talk about a bit of aggression.
Nice
Malfurion.
big gravity lapse there coming out from Arthalon, and the
Good lead.
Dwarf Toss Land will actually pick up that takedown.
Yes.
Not a very common way to get a takedown.
No,
in here
it
in
does
the
a very
storm.
small amount of damage, but it does do some damage, and I think you're right. That was enough. That was the deciding blow. Of course, one of the auto attacks afterwards would have finished it off.
Of course. All right, well, both sides, we do have the Protoss battles in the middle lane. KO has Oracle, of course, to reveal Fan, and if Fan is not careful, the Stormbolt was juked.
Good play from Fan. Yes, so we get to see Fan on a melee assassin. Very different from what we saw. You know, still playing the Protoss boys.
Protoss?
Not Tassadar this game, of course. It is on the Zeratul, so he oftentimes... Wait, was it Fan that was going for... Yeah, he was. He used to be going for Seasoned Marksman. And he seems to have changed his mind a little bit, preferring this Regen Master.
A bit of sustainability in this game here. I mean, it's all about fighting over these temples that could make or break your life in a team fight. And we do see these temples are being split up evenly. Soldier, Arth holding the middle one. All 3 lanes being soaked by both teams.
Yep, and Zuna, K1 Pro, excuse me, iDream, bottom lane. Oh, yes, has to back up, barrel roll out. So control of the bottom lane still going the way of Zuna. Control of the mid-temple to Tempo Storm. Control of the top temple for the time being is Cloud9 Maelstrom, but we actually see the gravity lapse of the lift, and Dunktrain is actually going to fall down. Wow.
Nice rotation by Arth and Dread, sneaking around the outskirts there and getting in front of him. But we do. Soldier will get the final shots here in the middle, and Tempo has regained or recaptured this top one from Maelstrom. Caffeine wants to contest it, but 2v1, I don't know if he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, he's putting a lot of damage down, but yeah, I think that we see the Iron Skin thrown down. Actually, has he overstepped in one shot of the Blizzard 2, and Murden, he doesn't have the Iron Skin left. He's could get stunned up. Not going to be the case. And might actually be a turnaround, yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
This could be a huge play. The roots go down onto Arthalon. 2 heroes will fall on the side of Temple. Stormbolt not connecting with Fan and Maelstrom. They take back their temple, and they take out 2 heroes.
Got the majority of the temple shots. between the two Temples, I would say. But having those 2 takedowns to sort of battle back experience-wise, Temple Storm's still in the lead by a little bit, about a third of the level. Yep.
But that's negligible at this point in the game.
Sure.
I mean, really, Maelstrom getting those takedowns, recapturing that temple, they needed that, and that just keeps things quite even right now.
Trying to figure out who has the better team fight going into level 10. Because these teams have very neutral drafts, I would say. There's some good synergies between these heroes, but...
Oh, there's a good synergy between trying to eliminate Zuna, but going to use that Haunting Wave and juke them. The Gravity Lapse, will it come out onto iDream? He's trying to bait it, hold it on, and he just holds it until that barrel roll goes out. Nice conservative play by Arthalon.
That was good, just to hold on to those abilities for the last second. Use body blocking as much as possible, force out the barrel roll, and then just follow it with the Stormbolt Gravity Lapse plus Flame Strike. Very well played.
All right, showing their mojo in this game. False. Mojo.
That is a good one. I like it.
Word. All right.
Well done. All right, so I am sort of theory crafting a bit, and I think a lot is going to come down to the Void Prisons past level 10. Yep, Mule's picked up. That's a big one.
Yep, but continue.
Void Prisons are going to be big because the follow-up could be quite scary. There's a lot that can be done if you hit a large, just even like a 4-person Void Prison, whatever. You have Jaina, Blizzard, Roots, Hinterland's Blast, Condemn. It gets scary quickly. So we're going to need to... We'll watch Temple Storm. Their posturing during team fights. It's going to be very spaced out. It has to be. Otherwise, they will fall down in those team fights very quickly. Now, for Temple Storm, things I think are going to be a bit more passive, maybe a bit poke-oriented. They don't really have a whole lot that helps them initiate. It's a little too risky for Muradin to leap in. So things are going to be very centered around that Void Prison.
And more so for the late game for them, they're going to be going for a lot of those big Flame Strike combos with Wailing Arrow, kind of willing away. But, wow, Falstad did get picked off in the top portion of the map. A very aggressive rotation there. A lot of lockdown between Kael'thas and Muradin. We do see the Bruisers are being collected for Maelstrom, but already this bottom temple has spawned, and Temple Storm has a slightly better position on the map. They do.
It's still no heroic advantage for either team. King Caffeine looking to occupy this temple for the time being. K1 Pro there to just to provide some bit of lane clear. Maybe they're waiting. Oh, that's a 4-person rotation. King Caffeine has to leave. He could still get body blocked out. I think there's no way for him to escape.
Yeah, he stayed a bit too long, and he will get those shields. But the Wailing Arrow, level 10 has been reached. The Phoenix going to pick up another kill, and Soldier just dwarf tossing to look stylish.
Yeah, in a situation like that, the best way to punish Johanna is to just sit in front of her. Like, you're not going to be able to put a lot of stuns down to hold her in place until after the Iron Skin has worn off, but that's exactly what they did. They stalled long enough in front of her, body blocking King Caffeine's position to leave that temple. I get why they did it. They know they need to be aggressive with the map objectives to try to catch up structurally. As it stands right now, the first fort of the game has fallen on Cloud9 Maelstrom's side.
Yeah, and it's just looking quite good here for Tempo. They have that level advantage, but Heroics were just collected here for Cloud9. Kubi, what's going on?
Okay, Cloud9, we do have the Tranquility, Water Elemental, Hinterland's Blast, Void Prison, and Blessed Shield. Those are all the things that we talked about. Soldier now maybe is the one out of position. Does still have that loop. Oh, wait, the Ancestral Healing is on time. Does not have a lot of mana, though. I don't know if he has the potential to escape. And King Caffeine with the Condemn, the pull in. I think that they have enough damage here to follow that up. Hinterland's Blast not needed, but they still get it. KO Pro, Fan, blocking him.
That was nice attempts to get the body blocks there onto KO, but getting that one here, they did in fact spend a couple heroics. 3 heroics, in fact, were used in that situation, but in return, we did have Ancestral go down and Avatar, so big win for Cloud9.
Yeah, at the very least, the Void Prison was saved and the Tranquility. The Blessed Shield will be back up very quickly, especially through the use of Battle Momentum. Water Elemental, Hinterland's Blast, too, it'll take some time. We haven't talked about Temple Storm's heroics just yet. We do have the Avatar, Ancestral Healing. Yeah, Arthalon way out of position. Was sort of retreating back to enemy lines. Not going to work out so well for him. What else? We have Wailing Arrow, the Phoenix, and, of course, the Archon.
Yeah, a lot of damage potential on both sides, but Maelstrom, they're just showing once they level 10, they're ready to fight. They got 2 big takedowns from heroes that were a little bit overextended. Right now, we have Temple Storm with that talent tier advantage, still in a leading advantage.
Yes. All right, 13. The start of things. Flamethrower. That's the increased range. More poke. Once we get that ignite, things do get quite a bit scarier.
Spell Shield, too, on Sylvanas.
That's starting to become more common.
Yeah, we're seeing the Shade Form and Spell Shield. Zuna playing a very utility passive push with a lot of escape capability. Sylvanas, but still all about those Wailing Arrows.
Next set of temples have spawned. This one, I believe, is a forced bottom, but could be top or mid for the remaining Temple. We see a heavy presence from Tempo Storm in the bottom lane. Probably for that reason, they knew that this next one would spawn down here. And Soldier looks to be the person who draw the short straw and has to sit down there, but a very good candidate for that.
He loves just sitting there by his lonesome self as a dwarf, but Zeratul suspects something might be up. KO is going to be spotted here at the boss. The Oracle revealing his position, forcing Fan back, but the entire team of Maelstrom is making their way down. But Johanna still on that top temple.
I like this play from Tempo Storm because Johanna is on the top temple, and Muradin is much closer in considering. So they could start this, and look at this. They pulled Johanna off this. And once they see that the temple has not it's no longer occupied, they just leave the boss. There's no need.
Force her away.
This is the best possible thing that Tempo Storm can do to sort of stall out that top temple and allow Muradin to capture the majority of it. They have the level lead, and they're going to go back up and contest it
because of that stall tactic. Beautiful play here. It is even talent footing right now, but Tempo is making their way up. They're going to force Johanna back. Not going to be able to finish up the temple. A Haunted Wave just thrown out to scout, and there goes the Stormbolt, the combo, the Condemn going in. A nice route, but only connecting with that Muradin, and we do see the Archon being used by KO.
Okay, KO looking to try to get in there, but the full retreat is a very smart idea, I think, at this point for Maelstrom. They will be giving up some shots on the temple. Much better than giving up takedowns at this point, though.
Yeah, but they're trying to contest this. Fan moving in, just throwing down a bit of damage. Blink was used, so that's going to be cooldown for a short while. KO or King Caffeine going well into the back line, looking at Zuna as a target.
Not able to hit those roots, so a lot of posturing went back and forth between these two teams. The Warriors seem to be juking it out. Otherwise, though, barely passed at this point in Shade Form.
Yeah.
Going to be used. iDream, yes, forced to use the barrel roll. A lot of defensive and movement-based opportunities have been wasted from Maelstrom at this point. And the silence is actually really huge. That is going to prevent the blink. And wow, a really good follow-up from the remaining members of Tempo Storm. So all of it, very neutral fight, and all of a sudden we saw that very nice silence and a decent hit one's blast of fire back, but it was not enough to stave Tempo Storm off.
I mean, Dunk Train took one step out of line.
Yeah.
And Soldier turned on him. The entire team just flipped. They said, without Malfurion, they're nothing. And they just blew them up. Just beautiful play by Tempo. They have the 16 advantage now.
Yes.
They're looking at fire,
Yeah, the Wailing Arrow was absolutely on point, and that was a big part of Fan overstepping his bounds, because without that blink, he relies on that quite a bit with that small HP pool that he has. And we promptly saw him taken out as well. So Tempo Storm, with that convincing team fight, they've gotten themselves about a 2-level lead at this point. And next set of temples will probably be spawning in about another minute. This means a bit more passive plays, and the teams are going to rotate around.
Scouting Mule, it's a rare beast, but we do see it there, ladies and gentlemen.
What a guy. And of course, this is because there's no structure damage to be had, and they're going to make use of that. They know it will be a while before any of their structures take any more damage. There's no temples that will be spawning for the next minute. What's the cooldown of the Mule, Jake?
It's about a minute.
It's about a minute, so it makes sense to make
a full minute, actually.
Yeah, it makes good sense to use that ability for whatever you can. And if there's no structure damage, make use of the Mule to scout.
All right, well, Kalphos just burning things. He's a bit of a pyromaniac. He likes to light walls on fire. In his spare time, we do have level 16 advantage still, so Cloud9 Maelstrom doesn't necessarily want to take a full-on team fight, but with 2 temples spawning, they're going to be forced to respond in some way. They can try to soak and stall this out, but Tempo, they might opt to split up these temples here.
Yeah, I thought maybe perhaps they were going to go for some kind of party bush. They can't pull that same kind of play that they had in the bottom lane where they were threatening boss. Obviously, they're too far away from that, and actually would put them at a huge disadvantage to try that. So I think they may have to be content with splitting, but they should be. Tempo Storm should be very happy to do this. Considering the advantage they have, sure, they would love to be able to take both temples. They'll take as much as they can, but any kind of trades that happen on the temples at this point, well in favor of Tempo Storm, considering how much further along they are in taking out structures. Right now, they're firing on the keeps. Maelstrom, they're firing on forts. Big difference.
It's a massive difference. And that Mule should be just about off cooldown. Actually, yes, it is actually healing up this middle lane for Tempo Storm while Tempo controls the top fort. Level 16 was reached for Maelstrom, so we do see that the overdrive has been picked up for False Head. The Enduring Growth, the Numbing Blast here for Jaina, imposing presence on Johanna, and of course double bombs for Zeratul. So a lot more power, even footing for the fight, and the hit release blast lines up an Arthalon immediately.
That's what you kind of play you need to make. Fan is able to stay alive, and yes, now we have the Tranquility. That's going to do a lot to keep the members of alive. I don't know if they should be really targeting Soldier, but trying to get to the backline. King Caffeine has the right idea and trying to push down Zuna in the backside. I think this may be a retreat. Cloud9 Maelstrom might be very happy with just taking the one takedown advantage. Maybe not. Zuna.
Ancestral, yes, it's going to be there just in time to keep Zuna alive. Nice plays. We do see the Sidestorm going to pick off K1 Pro, and Tempo with that level advantage trying to turn this around. The Condemn hitting Soldier, but Stormbolt going to be just about ready in another second, I believe. And there it goes onto King Caffeine. He will end up falling. No, just barely staying alive, but the Dwarf Toss ends up picking up another takedown this game.
No heroics available for either side at this point in time, and that will be the full retreat. Yes, that turned that around very quickly. Very, very quickly. Almost, yeah, that Ancestral was pretty big.
Yeah.
The timing of that Ancestral was well done from Dreadnought. And had he lost that heroic, or lost the Zuna at that point in time,
the game
a very big difference.
Yeah.
Not saying it would have completely turned the game around for
Maelstrom.
Well,
that fight would have been very much a different outcome.
Yeah,
with the final shots going off, the top keep did fall. The Mule is here to heal up this, the very low tower. But Tempo Storm, they have not lost that middle fort yet. And Fam, wow, nice jukes, but he's actually just surrounded.
Yeah, and
nice jukes.
Yeah, a nice wormhole back into the remaining members of Tempo Storm. They have full control of this game, taking mercenary camps. And I'm not sure what Maelstrom can do at this point. They had a good start to that previous team fight, but it's just maybe it has something to do with the targets that they're prioritizing. They were really trying to put a lot of effort into taking Soldier down in that last fight. Just thinking about like Malf and Zeratul were putting a lot of effort into him, maybe trying to force rotations. They got Arthalon out of the fight very quickly.
Yeah. We also have to point out like just Zuna's build. We talked about it a bit earlier, but if he didn't have Spell Shield and if he didn't have the Evasive, the Shade form at level 7, he would have fallen for sure in that battle. So just that whole style of Zuna might be throwing them a bit off because it's very unique.
Level 20. Just about there for Tempo Storm. They have it. The Storm talents, the rewind for Rhaegar. He's got that healing surge. That's so much more burst healing out of Rhaegar. He's got almost like a second ancestral healing
in a lot of ways.
Yes.
It's so powerful. And Muradin, of course, can Stormbolt, Dwarf Toss, Stormbolt, Dwarf Toss. It's a fun life.
The aggressiveness becomes a lot more viable because you can leap in and back out, like you were mentioning, kind of like a wormhole of his own. And that makes positioning against him quite a bit scarier. Tassadar with the Twilight Archon. We have 2 Bolts of the Storm for Sylvanas and Kel'Thas alike.
Actually, it falls to the top in the charts for the damage here, but that will quickly change as level 16, Arthalon will start to get rather ridiculous damage numbers on the table if they're able to have these long drawn out fights. So far, not happening too much, just using that Flame Strike as a scout.
What's the plan? What's the plan for Maelstrom? They do have this single temple spawning in mid. We're getting to the point where there's just the remaining keep in the bottom lane. And Maelstrom, they have to get aggressive. They have to take team fights. If they lose this team fight, I might even go so far as to say lose the game.
That's it. If you lose a convincing team fight, you have 2 keeps down. Tempo will flip that switch. We saw that last game.
Not even that. Even if they take like a trade but don't win the fight, I still think they lose the game. But they have to take a very strong team fight here.
Gonna be tough, 20-18. We see Zuna going for the Wailing Arrow onto the Zeratul, and Fan will just barely not survive. We do see very low King Caffeine Ancestral Healing gonna keep Zuna alive in the front facing of this battle, and KO flanking from the side. Maelstrom is in full-on retreat.
As soon as that silence went out and we saw the Fan was taken down, we saw an offensive mule thrown down. That's how confident Tempo Storm. Maybe it was just slapping his hand on the keyboard and accidentally hit it.
I don't think so, Goofy.
It was KO though.
Hey man,
maybe it's just the team. The team is feeling confident at this point, and they are going to go for the victory. They do have the 2 heroes down for Maelstrom, and perhaps Fan is not enough. Not yet, at least. They don't know.
Well, of course, this is their first event playing as this 5-stack team, but it's not over. This is the winner's bracket. Cloud9 still has a chance to come back in the finals if they can make it there. But it looks like Tempo will advance to the finals of the Team Liquid Super Brawl.
Yeah, well, you can say that they need time to sort of sync up with Fan and really get that play going, but you could argue the same about WCA. The first tournament, 2 weeks after they had Zune on the team. So I guess the timing is a little different. They haven't had Fan on the team for as long.
You're not wrong.
But, first event, they swept 3-0.
Broom life.
We'll see. we will see how Fan works out for them in the future.
Well, so far, I mean,
Tempo Storm says no.
We saw some convincing games in this tournament, but yes, Tempo Storm showing that they won the June North American Open. They won WCA. They won ESL Season 2, all for a very good reason. They will advance to the finals. But now we have the lower bracket waiting for us. Let's get an update here as to what's going on down in the lower bracket. Now, Complexity versus Kappa Wolves. That will be happening. I believe that will...
Zevron? Ooh.
Oh, wow, you're right. I didn't even...
Zevron falls to Kappa Wolves.
That's an impressive result for Kappa Wolves.
Yeah,
so
Kappa Wolves, they have that victory over
quite a
Cognitive
few
as well.
Yeah, well, they fell to Cloud9 in round 2, so they actually lost immediately. They had a bye, then they lost immediately in the winners bracket, and they've just grinded through Tsunami, Cognitive, and now Zevron. Very convincing event for them, securing themselves top 8 and seeding points for July NA Open. Now they have to defeat Complexity. That's a That's a tall order.
Yes, some of the teams that have really worked their way through the amateur series have been proving themselves.
Yeah.
And I think Kappa Wolves, the plays, no exceptions. So congrats to those guys for having some good breakout performances. But it is going to be... So we have the plays in 2 Arc. I can actually check to see if that's happening right now.
In lobby.
There's a lobby.
Message. Quickly. Join even.
Don't join just yet. If it's
mid